Namaskar, dear learners. Today we are here for the session Tourism Regulations in India. In the previous session on tourism regulation, we have learnt about the travel regulation related to inbound and outbound travel with focus on travel documentation, passport and visa. In this session, let us further learn about the tourism regulations and also different measures adopted by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India regarding the safety of tourists in India. It is necessary for a tourism professional to have an understanding of these regulations because you are likely to deal with tourists generally within the ambit of these regulations. So, first regulation is economic regulations. The inbound as well as outbound tourist is subject to several economic regulations. Currency. Tourists are not allowed to bring Indian currency into the country or take it out of the country. However, there is no restriction on the amount of foreign currency or travelers' checks that may be brought into India. However, the import and export of local currency is prohibited due to stringent exchange control regulations. On arrival, visitors should declare all foreign currency above $5,000. They are supposed to exchange currency only at banks and through authorized dealers, which include most hotels. With each exchange of currency, they are issued an exchange certificate which should be retained to re-exchange unused rupees on leaving the country. It is also their proof that they exchanged currency through legal channels. You must caution the foreign tourists not to exchange currency in black market. The one who does so is not only breaking the law of the country, but at the same time also running the risk of getting cheated. Foreigners are not allowed to leave India with any local currency. For their convenience, banks at international airports are open 24 hours daily to convert unused rupees. But encashment certificate must be produced while returning Indian rupees. So, now moving to other regulation that is related to insurance. Insurance companies active in the field of movement of persons and travel have become increasingly involved in the provision of insurance to protect the client as well as the agent or the operators of tourism services. Most schemes are in the field of protection and security of the traveler, as for example, the Green Card scheme governing international travel by private motorists. Besides such insurance or indemnity schemes, travel has offered a number of creative situations and possibilities to insurance companies. The typical tourist is generally confronted by two major travel risks. One, natural or human risks like contagious disease, civil strife, natural disasters which may occur at the tourist destination. The agent or operator is neither in a position to foresee or forecast such events, nor is he in all cases able to find ways to minimize or avoid the consequences in such circumstances. Most legislation accepts force majeure or common law doctrine on the question of compensation liability of the agent, operator or provider of services. However, since most risks are allocated between the operator and the tourist by contract rather than the operation of the law. The presupposition is that both the operator and the tourist have equal bargaining power. But in fact, the tourist lacks the economic strength to negotiate coverage in all risks. Another point, risks due to the acts of omission on the part of the operator or what is termed fault oriented risks. These are generally understood to arise from violation of a particular law or regulation or the failure to conform to the standards which in many cases remain undefined. In some cases, reasonable standards are subject to discretionary interpretation when referred to tribunals which have been established to hear and decide such cases. The same assumption of reasonable care devolves on the tourist as well. Thus, there is a necessary limitation on tourist risk evaluation in both legislation and insurance coverage. What is termed constructive notice is often considered sufficient to impose a legal obligation on the parties to a contract. Insurance can therefore be unreliable as in the case of 1. Agent's professional liability, that is, a policy covers acts and omissions by the agent but not fraud or agent's unlawful conduct. Second, exclusion clause protection. Such a policy also demands a 60-day limit within which to file a claim which the tourist is often not aware of. Therefore, international efforts have been directed towards the development and implementation of a comprehensive system aimed at providing availability, affordability, clear and consistent exclusions and compulsory funding and accountability by travel and tourism operators in the field of tourism. In theory, no legal system insists on or sanctions strict liability against all risks and suggests only a compromise between the tourist and the operator. In general, legal precepts cover such factors as 1. Which party is more liable to pay? Second, the seriousness of the risk and the harm it may result in. Third, the ability of the party to spread the cost of the risk amongst its customers. And fourth, the importance of protecting the injured party. Beyond this, certain no-fault risks are compensated through the medium of insurance. Insurance is therefore supplementary to the need for uniform principles of law and administration that intergovernmental organizations are trying to bring about. Now, moving to income tax. If a person not domiciled in India intends to stay in the country for more than 120 days, an income tax clearance certificate is required in order to leave the country. This document will prove that the person's stay in India was financed by his own money and not by working or selling his goods. Now, on expatriates who come to India in connection with tourism, profession, employment would have to furnish a guarantee from their employer, etc., in respect of tax payable before they leave India. On the contrary, people who are domiciled in India are only required to furnish permanent account number, the purpose of visit outside India and estimated period of stay outside India in case of travel abroad for the purpose of deputation or secondment. The income tax return filing is mandatory for people spending over rupees 2 lakh on foreign travel. The foreign sections of the income tax department at Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai and Mumbai issues these certificates on being shown the person's passport, visa, extension form and the currency exchange receipts which have been used by the person. Another tax is the airport tax. No airport tax is levied on passengers upon embarkation at the airport. Health regulations. Health protection of travelers is viewed from a dual standpoint including preventive and curative measures. Vaccination is the internationally accepted form of preventative health care. Curative measures are based on the particular circumstances related to climate, environment and disease factors at the destination. Vaccination, according to World Health Organization, under international sanitary regulations, publishes regular information concerning both required and recommended vaccination procedures for international travelers. The local tourist information centers also advise domestic tourists regarding epidemic conditions within the country. Diseases have been successfully controlled or eradicated as a result of implementing the vaccination regulations. A standard format has been developed for vaccination certificates so that the procedures of one country are recognized in other countries. This is an excellent example of international cooperation in the prevention of disease. The current fears regarding AIDS can also be overcome by similar international cooperation. Once an infectious disease has been notified, if vaccination procedures are not available, health checks can be related to visa formalities if tourists are coming from the identified countries or regions of the world. Health insurance. Travelers may be concerned not only with medical attention to specific diseases at the destination, but also for pre-existing health problems. Provision of medical attention to travelers has therefore been a key issue of debate. A further question that inevitably comes up in the provision of health care is the responsibility of payment. Social Security often pays for the health care of both residents and non-residents in some foreign countries. In other cases, only entitled persons may claim free medical attention. Reciprocal arrangements do exist between countries which have economic or cultural ties with each other like EEC countries. In some cases, emergency or accident cases may be treated free. In all other cases, medical treatment must be paid for at the existing rate, which varies according to the cost of living in different countries. Private medical insurance companies are generally used to provide coverage for such expenditure. Such insurance can be purchased either at home or in the receiving country. In commercial contracts, difficulties may arise due to the exclusion of pre-existing medical conditions, or insurance may not be available to senior citizens who are in the high risk category. Lack of medical insurance can be an obstacle to the movement of both international and domestic travelers. It has been suggested by WTO that where there are state-owned insurance companies, medical insurance should be extended to cover all sections of the population regardless of age. This has been accepted in principle by UFTA. Now moving to law and order regulations. All tourists in the matter of law and order regulations are subject to the regulations enforced in the land of their visit. India is an attractive tourist destination, yet tourists have on occasions complained of the treatment they get while vacationing in India. There is a lack of tourism consciousness which leads to avoidable behavior towards the tourist, particularly by dealers and shopkeepers, intermediaries and tourist guides, touts, owners of boarding houses or houseboats, hoteliers and operators of surface transport. The facility provided to the tourist in such matters in India are police and district officials. The administrative setup in India divides the country into states and further subdivided into districts. Each district in these states is manned by a district magistrate or collector and a police chief designated as the superintendent or senior superintendent of police. These two officials are the top functionaries of the state at the level of the district. The tourist should be advised to meet either of these officials in case of any difficulty pertaining to the matter of law and order in the district. In all emergencies, 100 is the number to be dialed. As a tourism professional, learn how to file the first information report or the FIR at the police station. Law on cheating. Tourists often complain of cheating while shopping. There have been complaints that at times guides and touts tend to direct the tourist to shops which give them a percentage on the amount of business they generate. Whenever the tourist does not patronize the establishment suggested by a guide, he is treated indifferently. Another type of complaint is that of cases like the ones a tourist has come to see the Taj at Agra, he is told there is curfew and he cannot go, which is actually not true. He is pushed towards shopping. Then another case can be the tourist wants to see some museum, he is told repairs are going on, hence he should spend at that time on shopping. Another case can be fare of deluxe buses is charged, but he is put on an ordinary bus. And another case can be the tourist wants to go to government emporium, instead he is taken to private shop with government approved written on its board, etc. The tourist's money and belonging are sometimes stolen or the staff of the hotel is negligent. Hotels have also been at times accused of overcharging beyond approved tariffs, overbilling for services and overbooking. The business code is also based on an attitude of mistrust and given the fact that regulations are difficult to enforce. Tourist or travel organizations often face genuine problems which can be in the nature of a breach of contract. The legal system in India is extremely overburdened. For a tourist to get a just settlement from a court can take many years. The first complaint has to be registered at a district court. Another, law on antiquities. The antiquities of India are covered under Antiquities and Art Treasures Act 1972. According to the rules given in this act, the following items come under the category of antiquities and art treasures like sculpture, painting, other works of art and craftsmanship illustrative of science, art, crafts and religion and of historical interest. All the above items to become antiquities should have been in existence for not less than 100 years. In addition to these, all manuscripts or other documents of scientific, historical, literary or aesthetic value in existence for not less than 75 years cannot be exported out of India. Shopping malpractices regulations. Tourist spending is becoming an increasing important source of revenue generation, especially in hard currency in most tourist receiving countries. This particularly important in India, where the average stay of the tourist is reckoned to be 28 days. This implies that the opportunity for a tourist to shop in the different cities increases. In the items of tourist expenditure, next to transport and accommodation, shopping is the third important area. India offers a diversity of shopping interests and attractions for tourists, that is from inexpensive souvenirs and handicrafts to the costly variety of gems and jewelry, carpets, artifacts, paintings, etc. Notwithstanding the foregoing, the complaints commonly voiced against shopping in India can relate to like non-adherence of quality standards, supplied product not matching the samples approved, and unscrupulous practices of touts and petty shopkeepers who mushroom around the tourist spots. Let us learn about the measures adopted by Ministry of Tourism, Government of India for the safety of the tourist. First, the tourist helpline. It is a toll-free, multilingual tourist information helpline with the number 1363 in 12 languages to provide support service in terms of information relating to travel in India and also offers appropriate guidance to tourists in distress while traveling in India. Another measure is Tourist Police. The state governments and Union Territory Administration of Andhra Pradesh, Goa, Karnataka, Kerala, Maharashtra, Himachal Pradesh, Rajasthan, Jammu Kashmir, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha have deployed tourist police in one form or the other. Another measure is the tourist booklet. It is a welcome card with tips to enjoy your stay is being handed over to foreign tourists on arrival to make the visit of tourists a memorable experience. Another is the selfie danger zone, issued advisories to the states UTs with an advice to mark selfie danger zone at the tourist places. Another measure, social awareness media campaigns with the objective of sensitizing stakeholders in the tourism industry as well as the general public about the importance of good conduct and behavior towards the tourist and reinforce the spirit of Atithi Deva Bhava. Another measure is safe and honorable tourism. Constant dialogue with states and UTs, various tourism related institutions and stakeholders for drawing up strategies for development and promotion of tourism, including safe and honorable tourism, is conducted by Ministry of Tourism. Now let us move to the accommodation and catering regulations. Many countries have legislation covering the hospitality sector as a sequel to common law, constitutional law or penal codes enacted by central or state governments. The purpose of such legislation is to transform the relationship between the hotel keeper or the restaurateur and his clients into a business contract or a consumer contract. The emphasis in the former type of contract is to foster the business relationship and enhance goodwill between the business partners. In the latter type of contract, the emphasis is on security and consumers' use of the facilities and services offered. There is a third area of legislation that covers the classification of facilities and services offered by the hotel sector to enhance consumer protection and consumer satisfaction as well as to protect domestic trade vis-a-vis international competition. Here the emphasis of legislation is to ensure that an establishment supplies accommodation and facilities to their clients and the standards commensurate with the price charged. In India, there are the laws that govern the hotel industry and can be classified into the following broad categories. 1. Establishment and commissioning of hotels. These are the laws that govern the hotel industry regarding commissioning and construction of hotels, restaurants, guest houses and other establishments of such kind. These laws also include laws such as Foreign Exchange Management Act, industrial licensing policies and land laws, etc. The operation, management and maintenance of hotel industry is another type. Such laws include insurance laws, laws regarding safety and security of workers, food and hygiene standards, obtaining licenses, Food and Drug Administration Act, Shops and Establishment Act, etc. Third, taxation, employment and contracts in hotel industry. These are set of laws that govern the working of a hotel, are related to the contracts that it enters into other enterprises or employment contracts. For example, the Apprentice Act, Employees State Insurance Act, etc. Legislation such as the Shops and Establishment Act or the Employees State Insurance Act would aim at regulating the relationship between employers and the employees in the hotel. Fourth, other laws governing hotel industry. They may govern the working of hotels, may include local law norms or other local land norms. It also includes guidelines issued by the tourism industry such as approval of hotels at project stage and classification, reclassification of hotel guidelines for classification of heritage hotels, timeshare resorts, standalone restaurants, homestays, heritage hotels, etc. Moving to the catering regulations. With the development of domestic and international tourism worldwide, standardization in the preparation and serving of food is reflected in hotel and restaurant ordinances and public health acts that have been extended to cover catering services in many countries. The salient features of such legislation are: 1. Consumer protection through quality control. 2. Through pricing policy to comply with demand. Third, vending and consumption of liquor and intoxicating beverages, keeping in view the interest of the consumer, the vendor, revenue of to the state, as well as conforming to social norms. Legislation also covers the hygiene of those who are employed to handle provisions and to cook and to serve food items, since the management of an hotel or a restaurant is liable for any danger to the guest or patron's life and well-being while legally on the premises. Ordinances also cover equipment and technology to comply with health laws as well as to retain the professional standards demand of catering establishments. Legislation in the field of restaurant operations is often an extension of that in the hotel sector, as in many cases these services are combined into one product. Therefore, restaurants also share some of the common problems that are faced by hoteliers, and often the solutions are similar. Environment protection and conservation. Cultural resources, both natural and man-made, have great value for tourism. They should be properly listed and documented with the help of available technology and the concerned organizations. There is a lot of pressure on these resources, and pollution emanating from different human activities like settlements, industries, mining, etc. requires special study and attention if the ancient cultural heritage of the destination is not to be damaged. Environmental concern. India has a wealth of flora and fauna. it is estimated that there are over 500 species of mammals, 2,000 species of birds, 30,000 species of insects, in addition to hundreds of species of aquatic and reptile life in the country. Much of the fauna of the country is protected by the Indian Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. There are 104 existing national parks, 551 existing wildlife sanctuaries. The provisions of the Act prohibit killing or poaching of any of the protected species. The violations of the provisions of the Act attract severe punishment ranging from fine in terms of money to detentions and imprisonment for extended periods. Let us sum up. You must have realized by now how important is it to dispel myths regarding lack or even absence of any regulations in India that concern the tourists. We have given you necessary information pertaining to such regulations, and we expect you to pass it on to the itinerant tourist and assure him that he will be landing in an orderly place meeting the highest standards of civilization. Thank you.